Absolutely.
But yeah, tell us why Lawrence Arabia is on the list.
Well, the reason was like it's an epic. It's a classic. It's brilliant. But there are real issues in Lawrence of Arabia that strike home. Of Lawrence, this man who's technically a British officer, yet he's fighting on the side of the Arabs because they're in the right. See what I'm saying? To me, that was a very interesting story idea, and it's executed so well that I have to put it at the top of the list. Number 3. Yeah.
Tender Mercy is next.
Based on a true story, Max Sledge was a real person. He was a country star. His alcoholism drove him to find himself hit rock bottom. He's broke. He's sewing up in a motel room that he hasn't paid for. He's got to pull his life. He's 50 years old, and he's got to pull his life together up by his bootstraps. And he does it a little bit at a time. And even though I couldn't say that I felt bad for him, I felt he got what he deserved, because he pissed off everything that was good in his life because of his drinking problem. But we have to applaud him for pulling himself up by his bootstraps and putting his life together a little bit at a time. To me, very powerful film, great movie, and a good lesson to learn from.
Okay, next up, we have... Now, there's controversy on this film. There's director's cut, then there's
There's 5 different cuts out there.
The one without the Harrison Ford narration, or the one without the director's cut, this
and then
film.
There's the final director's cut. There's the European version of it.
We are talking Blade Runner, yes. Well, what version do you like best, first of all, and tell us why you like that one so much.
Well, actually, I think the final version that they came up with, the final director's cut. Was
the final, not without narration.
Well, I actually liked the narration.
I didn't mind the narration.
Yeah, but I have to.
I kind of liked it.
I have to say that I probably liked the version without it just a little bit better overall. But,
okay.
But even when I'm watching it without it, it's still kind of playing in my head. But the thing was about Blade Runner, it was just absolutely genius. It was one of these films, they took huge risks on it. And, one of the things that they did was they kept the action very short in the movie. This is a drama. This isn't an action film. And that was risky on an $89 million, film. But Doug Trumbull did the special effects right at the top of his game. Harrison Ford, he was at the top of his form on this film too as an actor. Everything just really hit the mark.
I think it's just one of those films that I could have just kept on watching. It could have been 7 hours. I could have watched it.
I could have watched that every day of my life and I got bored with it. That's how good of a film it is.
The next
There's
one.
so many things going on in that movie. It's like you don't even know where to begin with.
The Apostle is next. The Apostle.
Yeah. Another Robert Duvall performance. He plays a preacher who accidentally kills a man, gets in an argument, hits him in the head with a baseball bat. He's a fugitive, and he starts his own church, and then they finally find him, and he ends up on a chain gang. But, to me, it's such an interesting story about... To me, the theme of that story was, if you want to change the world, set the right example for others to follow. And Duvall's character in that really does that. He's very mature. In many respects, even though he doesn't have education, he's a very emotionally developed person. He's a very self-actualized person. He's very forgiving. He's very wise. He has an innate understanding of human nature. And he doesn't deal with hostility on the level of hostility. These people who hate him, instead of hating them back, he converts them and wins them over to his church. And to me, there's so many things about this movie that it was just so powerful. I almost cried at the end of the film. It was just, I was just so moved by it. It's interesting. He ends up on a chain gang at the end of the movie, and we know that, but we don't see the whole transformation of that. We just fade to him being arrested by the police. He's on the chain gang, and we see him, working on the chain gang. He's saying "Praise God" to all the other inmates singing with him, "Praise God," and he's converted the whole chain gang. I mean, what a testament to his skill as a preacher. He said he felt he was on that chain gang because that's where God needed him the most. Very powerful movie.
Okay, next up we have The Big Sleep
with Humphrey Bogart. Yeah.
Okay, well, tell us about that one.
Well, to me, it's an interesting story of a man who has integrity and sticks by his integrity and fights for what he believes in. Even in a corrupt world. And I mean, to me, the big sleep, it's interesting because Bogart's character kind of seedy. He has to compromise himself somewhat, but he still sees the big picture of what needs to be done here, and he still has principles, and he fights for what he believes in. He wants to see justice and right action carried out, and to me, it's just a really powerful movie. It's very, and I watch this film and I'm like, I challenge anyone to make a movie half as good as this. It is just so brilliant on every level. It's just phenomenal.
You mentioned this one earlier. We were talking about Scorsese and the De Niro hookup, how they've hooked up so many times to make movies, but this wouldn't be a lot of people's favorites. You like Cape Fear.
Oh yeah,
out of them all.
But like I said, it's such a great story about hubris and people's outrageous arrogance that leads to their downfall.
Never been accused of that, not me.
Yeah, but it's interesting also watching this film how what transformation Sam Bowden goes through, this lawyer, where he says, I can't break the law is my business. And at the end of the film, he's reduced to caveman savagery, where he grabs a rock and is trying to beat De Niro to death with it. Any thought about the law is far gone from his mind, At this point, these characters are just absolute cavemen in a blind state of rage trying to kill each other. The fact that you see how these people have done that, to me, that was a very interesting story.
Okay, next up on the list, and I'm not surprised at this one at all. When I took my film appreciation class, when I took that, this one was one of the ones we had to study, The Wizard of Oz. Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
One of your all-time favorites.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And even as an adult, I could still watch it over and over again. To me, it's a very interesting story about, what the love of a family. And how important that is in a person's life. It is a family anyway, because Dorothy, she's with her aunt and uncle. They're not her direct parents, but they're still blood relatives. They're still family. And the farmhands are part of that, inner supporting, nurturing circle of these people. And I think a lot of people just miss the point of The Wizard of Oz. Dorothy is a stay-home, stay-on-the-farm type of girl. Not everyone, that's not for everyone, and nor should it be for everyone. But for some people, that's where they want to be and they belong. You see what I'm saying? The movie wasn't saying everyone should stay on the farm. No one should live in the cities or go out and try and do other things. But the movie's also saying is happiness comes from inside. It's not about what's out there. It's about what's in here. And to me, it's just a really, we're in the, each of them is singing, they want something that they think will make them happy, courage, a heart, a home, whatever. But really, the wizard tells them everything you're looking for is inside you. Find happiness inside your own heart. And to me, it's like, wow, what a brilliant message, and and it's entertaining as hell too. It's just fun as hell. It's a fun, great movie. Gone with the Wind, yeah.
Yeah, next up is Gone with the Wind. Once again, another classic that you enjoy.
Yeah.
Some of the reasons behind that.
Well, there's the hubris of the South and the Civil War, starting this war when they were outspent. Just incredible. But they were used to, you have to understand their perspective. The Southern aristocracy, they went where they want, they did where they want. Everyone got out of their way because they had the money, they had the power where they were at. They weren't used to someone like the North standing up to them. You see what I'm saying? So they had a false paradigm that they were operating from. They thought they were tougher than they really were. And they found out the hard way in this process that they weren't. They were guilty of hubris, but there's also the element of waste and wasted time and wasted lives. They have that clock, that sundial, and it says, don't waste time. It's the stuff that life is made. Well, in that, it wasn't until I watched it the 10th time I realized, my God, that's the theme of the movie, and I missed it all this time. It's like I see it now. These people have wasted lives. The waste of the Civil War, the waste of their bad marriages. And it's like, oh my God, this is a thematically written movie, and it's brilliant.
Okay. The